everyone! I'm so excited to finally film this video. This has been in the works for a couple of months at least, and in my head much longer before that. And I'm super happy to reveal the Watercolor Workbook Stamp Set. This is currently number 1. It says number 1, but I'm still not sure if there will be a number 2. I guess it just depends, you know, if I have the idea. I don't want to make products just for the sake of making products. So whenever I do decide to make something, it is something that I felt was needed in the world. This was inspired by my watercolor workbook class, which is a beginner's class, and we mostly just play with watercolor. We swatch them and we mix colors and all those kind of basic things that are still, you know, they're kind of basic, but they're still really fun. And if you love color as much as I do, then just doing these things is very enjoyable. However, a lot of the things that this set can be used for are relevant for all stages of skill, because basically this is a perfect set for a sketchbook, a logbook, a reference book, a place for you to first keep all of your colors organized with all the details of each paint, and then play around with assembling a color palette, experimenting with mixing colors, and then a few words to just make everything a bit more fun. So let's start. This is how it'll look when you receive it. So there's the stamp set and just the paper backing. And this is how it looks. These are beautiful photopolymer stamps. The quality is lovely. If you're familiar with Jenskow or James Burke, it's the same manufacturer, so it's really, really lovely quality. This is how it looks. I already have mine on blocks. You need like an acrylic block, or you can use, remember CDs? Like a CD case. And just adhere it to this. So mine is already, my set that I used for all the samples is already like scattered on all of my blocks, but this is how you will receive it. And I just want to show you. So the first stamp is the color swatch. So this stamp is perfect for keeping a reference and a record of all of your watercolors. Now this one is stamped with gray. You want to stamp these with water resistant ink because once you don't want the ink to start moving around once you add watercolor to it. So my favorite is Stays On, and I actually like gray ink. This is stone gray, so this is solvent-based ink pad, and it is water resistant. But for all of the samples, I use the VersaFine Onyx Black, just because it's you know, really crisp and dark, and I wanted you to be able to see everything really nicely. So for my personal use, I'd probably go with the stone gray. I just like the, kind of reminds me of a pencil. It's just a little bit less intense, but this is a really fantastic ink. It's really my favorite black waterproof ink, and I've had it for years and I still haven't had to replace it or re-ink it or anything. It's just lovely. So this is what I used for all of the samples you will see, except this one, which is stamped in gray. But let me show you. So this is how I decided to store these. This is another option. This is my kind of current system, which has just these, you know, handmade cards. Very kind of boring looking. So you can go for something like this or keep it on a ring, which I think it just makes more sense. So the nice thing about it, I'll zoom you more, is that you can, I'll just move this to the side for now. You have here space for the name of the color, the maker, and then a big, large swatch. The black line will give you an indication of how transparent or opaque your watercolor is, but there's no need for guesswork because here in the bottom, I've also added all of the relevant information. So the little square is for how transparent your watercolor is. If it's transparent, you want to leave it like this. And then if it's semi-transparent, you can put a diagonal line. And if it's semi-opaque, then I mostly have here transparent. Actually, the Lucas, this color is semi-opaque. So what you want to do is do a diagonal and then fill it like this. And this is semi-opaque, and if it's completely opaque, you black it out. Here is another Cobalt Teal Blue by Daniel Smith, is also a semi-opaque color. And then the little triangle is for staining. So again, you can put a line if it's semi-staining, or if it's really staining, you can fill it. I don't really use staining colors. Those usually are things like the phthalos. Those are very, very staining. So if you have those, you want to black this out. The G is for granulation. So if it doesn't granulate, you can, you know, cross it, and then if it does, you can circle it, or you can just put a little, I don't know, green, fill the little circle with green. And then the stars are for light fastness. Every brand has a different system. So I put 5 here, and then I just, you know, I mark them all if the light fastness is really good. If it's, you know, if it's good, then I'll probably put 4 or 3 stars. And then if it's a fugitive color, I'll just put 1 star. And then the bottom line says P, and that's for pigments. So which pigments are in your watercolor, and you can fill this out. So this one is the first stamp, and it has like these cute details. I really like the idea of like fussy cutting it. I just think it looks really, really cute. But if you prefer kind of cleaner edges, then you can just take, you know, a square, a quadrant, whatever shape, and use that, and then store all of these like this. And then you know exactly all the information relevant for each watercolor. So that's the big mama. I have mine on this block, and yeah, that's how it looks. So this is kind of a more, you know, the reference, you know, essential but a little bit boring information. My favorites are, well, I have a few favorites, but these two I really, really like. So the inspiration for these two were the sketchbooks of Liz Steele, who is an urban sketcher from Australia. And she starts every one of her sketchbooks with a sketch of her palette. And I love that idea. And I actually also did that on a few of my sketchbooks after I saw her doing this. So this is from my most recent sketchbook that I took to Italy, and that's just how I didn't really sketch anything. But now that I have my stamp set, I don't have to do that anymore. And the great thing about it is you have the half pan size and then the full pan size. So you can create whichever combination that you want or that you have, and you can, the height of these is the same. So you can see like this row, you can fit also the half pans and the full pans, or you can just change it up to whatever fits your page. But this is one sample that I made to show you. And then, for example, this is another one. So it really depends on how your palette is set up. You can do this in your sketchbook, and you know, do the opening page with showing your current palette. So these are probably two of my favorite stamps because I just really love to play with that. And then we have the, oh, another one that kind of goes on that theme is, I know a lot of, some, or not a lot, but some palettes have like round pans. So I added also a cute little circle, which you can also use represent your palette. Now for the mixing. I love color mixing. I think it's one of the really important things you can do with your watercolors, and this is why I created this one here. It's a grid with 6 spaces, and this is how it looks when it's stamped and filled. So this is a great way to see what your colors can do, practice on color mixing. It's not that easy to get these, you know, different ratios that are still different from one another, but still kind of close. So this is a really good exercise in color mixing and, of course, familiarizing yourself with your colors. So I have here just a few samples that I made of some of my favorite color mixes. And this is the goal of this particular stamp set. Of course, you know, this is what I had in mind when I designed them, but once you have your set, you're free to play around and do whatever you want. The words are just some added additions. So we have swatches, palette, and then this cute arrow that has watercolor in it. So you can add these to your pages. You know, when you get a new set or a new pan of watercolor, you can just add these stamps. And there's another really cute one, where are you, that I just thought would be really, really cute. This is a corner stamp, so you can add it. It says color play, and you can add it to your sketchbook at the bottom corner. And this is just like a cute decorative element. I made the font outlined so you could color it inside with different colors, which is always fun. So these are the words. And the remaining 2 stamps are the color wheels. I made a small one and then a larger one. And the nice thing about these is that you can create an entire circle with them, or not, depends on what you want. So this is, for example, this stamp stamped twice, and then this is this one stamped 4 times. So it creates a nice color wheel. And of course you could further divide it if you wanted to, but I made it so that you would have 8 spaces, which I think is a good number and a good size. Now let me show you a few examples. So this is my little logbook that a few of you asked about. This is a Cuddy logbook. I just use it for color play. It's just the perfect size for playing with color, that I don't feel like I'm using any of my fancy swatch sketchbooks for, you know, just blobs of paint, but it's also a really good format for just keeping reference. The paper is bad, I would say, but you know, it handles watercolor. It doesn't disintegrate or anything, but it's really, really thin. I don't know, like really kind of sad paper. But I really like the size and the format and how it looks. So this is, for example, you know, how you could do a page. So you could stamp the pans and whatever combination you want. And then here add some mixing samples so you can see what your colors can do. And of course you could fill these pages with more of these, or the color wheels, which I'll show you in another example. So here's another example of how you can use it. I just love these. If you go to my art journaling courses, you can see that I love using these elements in art journals. I just, you know, I stamp them, I paint them, and then I fussy cut them, and I use them as layers in an art journal page. I love it because I just love color, and, you know, color wheels are pretty. To me, they, you know, they serve a purpose. They're a way to exercise and practice, but they're also just really pretty as they are. So here you can see I used the full pan for kind of the main colors that I want to use in my painting, and then I used the half pans for the supporting colors, maybe the darker values or the pops of color. Of course, you could use just the large pans or just the small pans or the circle pans. And then here I stamped palette swatches, and I also colored it with the colors here. Here I have the mixing stamp, so it gives me the possibility to very nicely mix my colors. I could have probably done like this whole page with these and explore all of the different mixing possibilities that I have with this particular color palette. Here is the cute color play stamp, which I should also probably color this. And then here's just my little sketch. And then here's the big color wheel that you can stamp with this stamp. Stamped it 4 times to make the big color wheel, and then filled it. What I did here is I just watered down every color, but you could, if you look at my color wheels video, you can see how I paint color wheels also in different ways. So it's really up to you. And then the smaller color wheels are just, here's an empty one, are just a really great way to kind of get an idea of what your colors can do before you start exploring it, you know, more in depth, just to get a glimpse of a color palette and the basic color mixes. So I really like those. But you know, there are so many ways you can use these to decorate a page, for art journaling, for your planners. It's just a really great basic set to help you, you know, keep your colors organized, plan a color scheme, play with color schemes, come up with different color stories, see what your colors can do, mix them, and just really have fun with it. If you're a beginner, I think it's a great tool to start experimenting and understanding color theory. And if you're more advanced, it's still fun, and I'm pretty sure it can help you. I swatch colors all the time, and I play with different mixes. And this is a great way of playing and then having a very organized reference to come back to in the future, so you don't have to keep testing things over and over again. You can just look at what you've already done and use what works. So I'm so excited about this set. I love how it turned out, and I will keep you updated. Make sure you sign up for my newsletter, because that'll probably be the first thing that goes out when the pre-order starts. The pre-order, you know, I will order as many as people want, so there's no, you know, limited supplies or anything like that. But once the pre-order is closed, I will probably order, you know, just enough for the pre-order and then a little bit. If you want this, then take advantage of the pre-order, because after that, for sure, the quantities will be limited, and I won't bring it out again unless there's a demand for it. So I don't want any like stock lying around. So I hope you will have as much fun with the set as I am. I just think it's really, really cute. And you know, if you love color, you will love playing with this. But again, it's also just a really great way of keeping a reference book that is organized for your painting adventures. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon in another video. Have a great day. Bye.